Good morning. I know. I'm going to explain, but welcome to My Left Ear. It's July 2nd, 21. It's Friday, right before the 4th of July, Independence Day. And this is video 45. And it's called Wait for the Harvest. And I know that sounds really mysterious. First things, I was a little delayed getting to this video. Two things have happened. One is I had extensive dental procedure and I have to go back for the second part of it. And it rendered me with lots and lots of pain and little ability to enjoy food. And I took every day a half of a Norco, which helped tremendously. And then I stopped. And then, believe it or not, I actually had some withdrawals. So that's how dangerous Norco can be. This was a half a day for 6 days and I stopped. I'm fine, but it delayed me in getting this video together. The other thing is, in regard to this video today, I was doing a lot of homework, a lot of studying, a lot of listening, a lot of reading, and I had these extensive notes. So I was gonna sit down because I have this outline in front of me and like incorporate them. Well, I can't really explain this, but I'm beginning to think there might be an entity in my apartment because of an experience I had the other day, or I'm losing my mind. So don't know yet, I'll let you know. But I lost those notes, all that preparation. They're somewhere here because I didn't leave. I wasn't like at Starbucks and left them at Starbucks. They were here. So I may have misfiled them, but I so wanted to do some kind of make some kind of a connection with you all today that I'm gonna go with what I had. And I'm hoping later on when I relax, I'll just go, oh, and I'll know where they are. And I'll come back Saturday or Sunday and I'll do another, catch up presentation. So My Left Ear, for those of you who have never met me, is I really get psychic information from this left side, and it's not really a noise, it's just sentences, as if someone is telling me something. And it's very effective for me. I do this channel, I do psychic coaching in my private practice, which there's an explanation of that, and you can email me and I'll send you a one sheet. And I've been doing therapeutic hypnosis for over 20 years. And all of this is in a little one sheet. Now below is my email, and you can email me and ask me, I'll send you the one sheet, okay? Really want to get started here. Always take a deep breath now, as you know. All right, got to go with this first. This indictment that came down yesterday. The indictment of the Trump Organization, not Donald Trump. This is what the grand jury came up with. Now, there are some interesting differing opinions from people that have massive amounts of legal experience that both I respect. However, there's one person that My Left Ear agrees with. And I'll tell you about this in a minute. But the New York Times is now reporting that the probe is entering a new phase. New York Times. And that means a new phase since yesterday. All right, so that means more. And it said it will focus on Mr. Trump. All right, now Daniel Goldman is an ex, I think, SDNY guy. I mean, he's got loads of experience. He's incredibly smart. I really like him. I just am doubting what he's saying right now, and My Left Ear is doubting it too. And I'm just going to read to you. You'll see him on MSNBC if you watch enough shows. He says, I think these are all the charges against Weisselberg. I don't think he will flip. And he said, I don't think Trump will be charged. And I don't think the Trump org will be charged with anything else. Now, Andrew Weissman, who was part of the Mueller investigation and had been with the I think the FBI fraudulent division of maybe the SDNY, again, remarkably experienced man and well-spoken, and he's also a professor. So he said, it's just the tip of the iceberg. It's very expansive. So he was talking about even what was dropped yesterday, very expansive. And my left ear leans towards Weissman. All right. Now, I got a little message from my left ear this morning, and I went, really? Which sometimes happens. And the message is that at some point, we're going to hear about Sean Hannity. Somehow he's going to pop up as somehow financially connected to all of these investigations. So I went, oh, that's interesting, my left ear. And I'm sharing, good, I put it down. I wanted to share that with you. I'm going to jump a little around the place. When Bill Cosby first went to trial, we were doubting whether his conviction would actually stick. It just seemed that he was going to get out early or something. It just felt that way. And we know I'm not an attorney. And I forgot about it, you know. But about 3 days ago, this happens a lot to me at my kitchen sink, by the way. And I think it has to do with running water. Sometimes in the shower. So notice if you get intuitions by running water. But that's what happens to me. So I'm doing the dishes and I'm thinking, what's going on with Cosby? Oh my God, I just died when the news came out. That out of the blue, he was released on a technicality. Not exonerated, but released. And they can't retry him. I don't need to go into the technicality because I'm not an attorney. You can hear a million people talking about it right now that have law degrees. His ex-co-star on the sitcom, Phylicia Rashad, tweeted that finally there was justice, and it was a whole thing. I didn't even want to copy it because it so nauseated me. But although she did not say racism, her excitement and her happiness about him being let out, not exonerated, was over the top. She got a lot of negative feedback, a lot. And I personally thought, well, I've never found her that gifted, and it would be easy for me to never watch her again because I wish you were smarter, Phylicia Rashad. This was not about racism. 60 women accused your friend. And it's a terrible thing, and I wish you could just grieve it and accept it. But, you know, the last couple of weeks been steps back for women, and I'm telling you, after Me Too, I can't believe it. I just can't believe this thing happened to these women, and a woman named Andrea who won this case. Thank God she got a lot of money from him. But all these women, watch him walk after what he did to them, drugged them. Donald Trump is still free and clear on 22 accusations of a sexual assault and rape. And they just made it more difficult for E. Jean Carroll to sue him for defamation because he says he didn't know her, he never met her. And it appears, and I'm telling you, we believe it, she has actual DNA. That is Trump DNA. Now, I read that Mary Trump is donating her familial DNA. You know about familial. Like, if I was a murderer and they DNA'd, a relative, they could pin it on me. That's how good the familial DNA is. Now, a little side note, there is a sort of a rumor around Hollywood. Oh, everybody knew about Bill Cosby. And I think I've mentioned I come from this family that has a whole history in the entertainment industry. And one of my uncles, who passed away last year at the age of 95, was a very successful publicist. And he represented a lot of performers, actors, blah, blah, blah. A few of them were really famous. And he did represent Bill Cosby for 6 years. So towards the end of his life, when he was well into his 90s, I would meet him and take him to lunch. And this thing had started. So I asked him, what did you know? And my 92-year-old uncle said, oh, we knew he had multiple women. Everybody knew that. He said, but I did not know, he was drugging and assaulting. So, and my uncle was totally to be believed, but I did get to ask him that. Not everybody knew. And I'm sure Phylicia Rashad was shocked. And like I said, she should grieve it. All right. One more thing about pop culture, and I'm sorry, I usually don't do this, but as you probably read, Meghan McCain is leaving The View. That's not my point. She actually said something that I finally agree with. I was like, oh, I actually agree with her. And she said, if you've read about, I'm talking to you now, if you've read about the difficulties and the oppression that Britney Spears has experienced over a conservatorship on her life and her money and her choices, and she went to court, it was very upsetting to hear her testimony. Very. Meghan McCain said, Britney Spears is being trafficked. And I went, yes, that's my belief. She's being trafficked. According to Britney, you may have heard this, but it's pretty sickening. She has an IUD, and they legally are preventing her from taking it out so they can prevent her from getting pregnant. She has a very solid boyfriend that she's been with for a long time that lives with her. And actually, I think he wants to marry her and wants to have children with her. And they won't allow it. So talk about people controlling. Imagine being controlled like that. Wow. There's this story that was circulating about Ivanka and Jared. And I listened to it carefully, and it kept saying, oh, they're separating from him, they're moving away from him, they don't want an association with Trump. And that may be true, but they're not working together in the White House anymore, and they all live in different places, although I imagine there's multiple homes. So it makes sense that they're not around him. Now, the other scenario is that I can totally believe that they're having talks and saying, we better back off because, and their attorneys, because they've got their attorneys now, are probably saying just, keep it low down with Dad and don't get into any big conversations on the phone, blah, blah, blah. So we'll see. Sometimes we hear things, and I never heard one person say, according to some sources. They just were coming out with this story. So, I just wanted to mention that. So I kind of went bump, 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 bump with my left ear as if I was throwing the tarot cards, which, that's how I operate. So I'm just going to spit out some things to you, really simple. We have always found it difficult to envision Trump going to jail. And I know that's terribly disappointing. Has nothing to do with how I feel, okay? However, it could be that his health becomes so compromised, okay? That's all I'm gonna say. That could be part of it. However, as of yesterday, he's gonna start facing financial ruin. Losses of his property, outpouring of money, and catastrophic losses, okay? And when money means the most to somebody, then it's catastrophic. So Weisselberg flipping, we say yes eventually. He's waiting. He doesn't want to. He's been loyal to this horrible person for a long time. And you could just see it in him. He's sort of angry, and I think he's entitled, and I think that anybody who gets that close to Trump for 40 years is Trump. You get it? I don't think he's like some separate human being that has a conscience. I think that we think this is who Trump keeps around him, other sociopaths and criminals. So that is my feeling about Weisberg. And he had a long run with the money and the power and all that with the Trump organization. They're going to have loans due. All the banks that are holding loans are going to like, okay, we want our money. We want our money now. They're not going to be able to get loans. I don't even think Russia will loan them. And they really won't have leverage financially. You know, those Trump boys never worked outside the Trump organization, whatever they do. Trump org, we believe, will end. It will cease to exist. We believe Ivanka is the one who will probably turn on Dad. I have no more to say about that. I just think she is the most likely. Now, what's interesting about Ivanka is that the comedian, ex-production person, Noel Kassler, who writes all about this because he was around them for years and years and years and years, didn't do business with them because he was hired by production companies, but he was around them, said that she is the most like her father. And in private, she sounds like me. She doesn't have this whispery, sort of Marilyn Monroe kind of voice. She sounds like me. She sounds really grounded, and she swears like a truck driver. Ivanka. So she's going to turn on Dad. I think Jared is going to be held accountable somehow, some way, and I could see him going to jail. We can see that. Donald Jr., I feel something tragic coming about him. I really do. So we'll see. And Eric, somehow we feel that Eric kind of gets the lightest sentence here. And all of this is a we'll see, but I have it written down. So there you go. Now we're going to move on to January 6th, the commission that Nancy Pelosi is pulling together, because to remind you, the GOP voted against it. They weren't, but then all of a sudden it is believed that Kevin McCarthy took some orders from Donald Trump, like, don't do it. And so they just cut it off at the knees. But Kevin McCarthy is so stupid, he didn't realize that legally, congressionally, Pelosi had the ability to put together her own commission. So she did. And she's putting Liz Cheney on it. And I think maybe one other Republican. Now here's just proof, evidence of Kevin McCarthy's stupidity. He called the ex-president and they talked for an hour about who from the GOP are they going to appoint to this commission. And then he found out, oh no, you turned it down. You don't have any rights to appoint anybody. Only Nancy Pelosi can appoint the commission. He didn't know that, and he wants to be Speaker of the House. He is so, aside from being awful human being, he is just really dumb, like a lot of people that surround Trump. So anyway, so far, Liz Cheney, Adam Schiff, and a list of people, but it's being added and added and added. So they're really good people. We trust Nancy Pelosi. Now, here's my biggest concern, our biggest concern. We know that some of these people are going to ignore their subpoenas, and some are going to lie. They're going to get up there and just lie. We saw William Barr lie in front of Congress. They're going to lie. But the people that don't show, nobody's ever, we haven't seen in the last 4 years any consequences. We've seen people not show, but we haven't seen consequences. I am praying, we are praying that they are able to create consequences, because if they call Kevin McCarthy, I just bet he won't show. So this is our biggest worry, that they're going to ignore subpoenas and there won't be consequences, so they won't have that effective outcome. I still think this whole January 6th thing needs to come from Merrick Garland. It needs to be legal repercussions. And we're still waiting on that answer. he's warming up, but I think there's this unspoken hesitation about going after an ex-president. And there is this sort of unspoken thing from Joe Biden, who wants peace and he wants to be liked and loved. And he is very lovable to me. But my belief, our feeling, is that if he doesn't support holding the ex-president accountable for obstruction of justice, per the Mueller report, and the insurrection, it'll be probably the biggest mistake of his political career. Hate to say that. You know, I threw the runes. The most important thing that can happen for our salvation is for the Dems to take some seats in the Senate in 22. All right, so that's like a year away. It's really interesting. I did the runes on this subject. The Democrats in the Senate in 22. And I always pick 3. But the first rune I picked was harvest. That's what it's called. And it indicates a beneficial outcome in 1 year. I am not kidding you. I threw this at the end of May. So I just feel that, and aside from the runes, it's what I feel. The reading supported the ear. Had to share. It's like so great. I wonder what's going to happen to Tucker Carlson. I have another nickname for him, but I might get kicked off YouTube if I say it. Go ahead and guess. He feels like he's mentally ill. And I just found out that he used to be an ex-drinker. And you know, I know quite a bit about alcohol from working in the rehab for 8 years. And for people that stop drinking but they don't get any treatment, sometimes there can be what we call a dry drunk. And he sounds like a dry drunk. I didn't make that up, so don't get mad at me. It's a behavior that continues without the use of the alcohol, but it's not a good behavior. That's how it is. There's so much more. I had written the notes, I told you, but I'm gonna wind it up now. The last thing that's shocking is that in Florida, there's a new law that DeSantis signed, and it's at the universities, or one university, I'm not sure, where the students and the faculty must reveal their political affiliation. Yeah, I really said that. So we think it's going to go to the Supreme Court. That just doesn't feel legal. It's so sinister. Now, as busy as I was and as much as I lost the files, I had gotten a quote, but I only have one quote today. I apologize. It's a good one. It's by Peter Drucker, and it says, "The most important thing in communication is hearing what isn't said." That's what I kind of do. The most important thing in communication is hearing what isn't said. So that's like that book, Listening, that I talked about a long time ago when I did one of my more personal videos about my work and meditation. Listening. The most important thing in communication is hearing what isn't said. So I'll leave you with that, and just kind of see me finding these files, just kind of like, wouldn't it be nice if Carrie found the files? And one last thing before I go. I decided October 3rd, I will have a year with this YouTube channel. And I decided that I want to do a little campaign. And I thought that if I asked every subscriber, now I don't know that every subscriber watches, but whenever you watch, if you could ask one friend, and they have to be Democrat or liberals or independents, to subscribe to me, like one. It's the power of one. So I want to see if I can really make a dent in my subscribers by October 3rd. So if you felt like you ever wanted to buy me flowers or send me chocolate, see if you can get me one subscriber. How about that? Okay, you may see me this weekend if I can find these notes. Damn. But God, I had more material than I realized I had, so that was nice. Anyway, good to see you. Be safe over the 4th of July, okay? I'm making a cherry pie. I'm taking a friend to lunch, and I'm laying low, okay? And I'm looking for those damn files.